Breaking Bollocks is in session.
We're recording.
Oh yes we are.
Oh dear. Oh dear. Are you ready to record a podcast?
Am I ever ready to record a podcast?
Just I don't feel exactly like
A podcaster. How does a podcaster feel?
no, like
Every podcast's different.
I usually steer you onto things.
Are you incapable of this in the present circumstance?
We'll find out. Right.
I was hoping you'd be able to, because I've got no fucking idea.
Do you want to get started?
Yeah, let's do that.
You not? Can you not?
Can I not what?
Look like a twat.
This is my face. How dare you? Let's get started before we've.
It's your.
while we.
It's always
while we still can.
It's always your fucking fault.
Well, of course it is. I was here first.
Hello, internet. I'm fuck you.
You are fuck you. Are you? You're fuck you.
Stop laughing.
That's the worst thing to say to somebody. Stop laughing. Here we go again. Do you think they might have guessed that that we've started off a little bit drunk again?
No, I don't. Don't speak, you heathen.
I'm trying not to. You just spat all over the table. Oh, my laptop's showered now. Honestly.
That's your fault.
I should have brought an umbrella. Spray that again? There's no way that works. That never works.
No, it doesn't.
For those in the audio domain, Firebolt just tried to do that thing where you wipe the smile off your face with your hand.
I can't do it. I'm just going to start.
Would you like me to start?
No.
Because I can do it.
No.
I'm a responsible actor.
No. We'll get on to that.
What do you think?
Hello, internet. I'm Firebolt.
And I'm the Arbiter from the planet Zorg.
You okay?
No. Never.
Welcome to Breaking Bollocks episode 44. We're catching up to your age.
We are.
But will your age race away from us?
No, it won't.
No.
Because age doesn't work like that at all.
Shut up. I'm just implying that you're old.
Yes, I know what you're doing.
Getting older quickly.
I know what you're doing. I'm trying to make you feel small and insignificant with my superior tones.
What?
So as to diffuse
Right,
any humour in any sense or form.
I don't know what was before the intro, but if you can't tell, we're a little bit pissed.
No, we never do that on our podcast. Actually, well, see, it was never my long-term intention for this to be the case on a regular basis, but I actually enjoyed listening back to the last episode so much that
I couldn't listen to it in public because I just kept laughing.
Exactly, which is kind of good because I know we do go. I mean, we did do some deeper, meaningful bits, didn't we? But it's supposed to be laced with humour as well, and I feel like I have been told I'm a funny drunk when I'm not being an arsehole. There's a balance, isn't there, when you've been drinking? There's a fine line.
Yeah. Anyway, do you want to...
Usually that's when you've inadvertently scored during the evening, but...
What?
The fine line.
I'm confused. Oh. You've never done cocaine, have you?
I have, yes.
Oh.
Very disappointing.
Yes.
No, have you?
No.
Oh, you're disappointed in me?
No. I don't know. Shut up. Whatever. I'm disappointed in you, but for other reasons.
I'm going to cry now.
Oh dear. Anyway, do you want to get on to the news? Just to cry a bit more. Before we do, because we were actually kind of slightly part of the news.
We were on STV News, weren't we?
Yeah, we were, the day
before. You
before.
were. I wasn't. I don't think.
I couldn't actually see myself in the clip that I was shown. I could see my sister.
And Reverend James.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think I was behind or covered by a sign. That was the global climate strike, which, I mean, at least according to Greta Thunberg, has now reach numbers above 4 million.
Yeah. I think they were probably getting on for 1,000 at Aberdeen, wasn't there? At its peak. Which might not seem like an awful lot, but bearing in mind it is the oil capital of Europe, and the last demonstration they did only had 150 there.
Yeah.
It's a good sign, I think. That was in March, wasn't it, the last one?
Yeah, considering that this whole movement, School Strike for Climate Change, was only started by Greta Thunberg, I think 1 year and 1 month ago.
I think it's great.
That was one person.
Yeah.
And now it's 4 million.
I think it's great that adults have been invited to get involved. I think the kids should still, I'll say kids, but I mean
youth.
The youth should still lead the way, because it's obviously it's more of an investment in their future than anything else. But I think everybody should get involved. I noticed, I think there was 10 arrests today from Extinction Rebellion.
Right. Was that in the UK?
Yeah, they were trying to block. Well, there was a coordinated effort. Apparently, they were doing the same over at Calais, but they were trying to block Calais and Dover to cause disruption there. But there was also some of them had glued themselves to an A road somewhere, the A20 or maybe that was the one, because I think the A20 does go down to Dover. They glued themselves to the road anyway, and I'm not quite sure how, but. Yeah, I mean, some people may say, bloody hippies disrupting our way of life. They should be in school getting an education. But you know what? Fuck you. Because
it's just sort of like...
it doesn't matter whether you've got an education or not. If you haven't got a planet you can live on.
I have more important places to be.
There are people dying.
I did consider, because they were...
I mean, there's fucking massive migration problems already, as if we don't need more, you know?
Yeah, and that's just from us humans fighting each other, not really much through climate.
It's all interconnected, though, because the environment, the political environment, is interlinked with everything else. You know, it's
there's a lot to do with the geography.
Connected with the climate debate thing, I notice that the US have just, I don't know if they've already sent or they're sending troops and support into Saudi Arabia to protect their oil supplies.
Of course they fucking are.
Well, yeah.
As soon as there's money to be made on fucking oil.
Short term. Short-sightedness it is. Because...
Oh, we're fighting for freedom. No, you're fucking not.
The freedom to destroy hundreds of thousands of species on the planet, and... It gets depressing once you start talking about it, because if you listen to, and I do listen to experts because they're experts for a reason, you know, there's going to be extinctions, there's going to be lots of deaths. I don't know if you've been seeing any of it, because you don't do Facebook as much as me, but I'm trying to think what relative to you they are. Granddad and grandma's, granddad's brother or sister. You know, the ones that we visited in Spain?
My great uncle and great aunt.
Yeah. Their whole place got completely flooded out in the floods in Spain. It was quite a few days ago. It was last week sometime. I can't remember how long ago it was, but they've only just now managed to clear out most of the mud that was left behind. They've now got the problem of sifting through, trying to sort everything out and make sure that the damp's not going to cause irreparable damage to the property and stuff. And that was there was like a... What do they call it? A Medicane, a Mediterranean hurricane, basically.
What's that?
Yeah, I don't know if that particularly ended up hitting them, but a lot of the weather systems that were going around, Costa Blanca, I think, got the brunt of it. But a lot of the rain that fell, I think they said something about they got like 7 years of rain in the space of a couple of days or something.
But it's just...
But oil.
I mean, yeah. I mean, I've been saying this for a while. It does feel like we're heading into darker times on a political level, but also on an environmental level.
It's very positive, though, that
people are being very, well, world leaders at least, are very comfortable.
You see, I was saying this on a clip in my podcast today. I recorded a clip, and what strikes me is that there's a lot of people saying about criticising people like Greta Thunberg and the youth that are kind of protesting for... I mean, they say it's the youth, but, you know, I'm 47, nearly 48, and I was there protesting. There was a lot of people that were there that were older than me, so, you know, let's not be ageist about it.
It was mainly youth, and it is mainly youth-led.
Yeah, it's organised and led by the youth, which is an admirable thing. But being older doesn't mean being a fucking knob end, in other words, is what I'm trying to say. Although that does seem to be a prevalent
yes, it's a trend.
But this whole thing about all these kids, they've got their smartphones and their iPads, and they turn up to these things, they've been driven there, or it's like, yeah, but the difference is that you can make in your everyday life. I could turn into a hermit and it would make fuck all difference to the future of the planet.
Yeah.
But there are people who have a massive influence over the whole population, basically.
It is.
And they can make a huge difference. Industry can make a huge difference.
It is basic mathematics.
Yeah.
Trying to convince world leaders, politicians, convince celebrities as well, celebrity endorsements.
And in today's world, it's necessary to use all that technology to reach those people.
And although I would honestly rather eat them, convincing the rich not to keep putting poison out into the world.
Well, it's pure selfishness, because it's not the rich that are going to suffer the worst.
Yeah.
It's the people like those in the Bahamas. It's the people that don't have...
Hot to piss in.
Yeah. They're the ones that are going to die, so... They're the ones that are dying.
Yeah.
So
they've been dying for...
But nobody cares about
decades.
Well, nobody who can make a difference cares about them. Unless...
Greta Thunberg made a difference, and she was just one teenage girl. She amassed a global movement and is a global Peace Prize nominee.
How did that kind of... obviously she did that first thing herself, but obviously you need to get publicity for that to snowball into a global movement.
Networking.
Yeah.
Got friends, got organisers, got press attention by just being out of school, and that attracts attention because it's like you're breaking the rules here, but for a good cause.
Yeah. And it's a big step. School is one thing, but I wouldn't want to say that it's that it's not a big thing that she's done and that all the people, all the youths are doing. But I don't know whether it's just because you've got used to towing the line a lot more as you get older, or you've got financial responsibilities and things. But when one of the things that was coming up in the speeches was about choosing your career wisely, wasn't it? But regardless, I'm lucky in that I'm my own boss, so I could go along without too much disruption. But if I can imagine if I was in a PAYE, in a salaried sort of employed position, it would be quite tricky for me to actually just take the day off and strike. Without fear of reprisals. But then you got to think, well, yeah, but what's the worst reprisal? Do you get a reprimand from work, or do you watch your planet die?
Yeah. This was something that I noticed. This isn't being particularly critical of you. It's just sort of attitude thing, maybe. I did notice after the protest, we went into Costa.
Yeah.
And you'd bought some snacks just to have during the protest, because it was just standing there for quite a long time chanting.
Yeah.
And weirdly, we did a conga line as well, because Aberdeen's a weird place.
We might as well have a party. I think a lot of them had that kind of party atmosphere going on, trying to, keep things civil, But carry on.
I just took out some crisps in the Costa that we were at, and
oh yeah,
you were like, "Are you allowed to do that?" It's just like, what are they actually gonna do?
Yeah, as you get older, you do. It's a shame. You do.
I don't think it's necessarily as you get. It's as you go through the school system, but I think I'm unusual, and that's why, although I get good grades, a lot of the senior management doesn't like it when I disagree with them. But most people, when they disagree with a decision of management or something, will just go along with it anyway.
But I certainly have found as I've got older that I feel less comfortable being rebellious.
I guess that might be the religion in you.
Well, no, because in my sort of late teens and early 20s, I wouldn't have given a flying fuck.
I don't know. It might be an age thing then. It might just be that you're getting tired of having to say no to people, or just you do kind of slip into kind of keeping the peace kind of frame of mind, I suppose. Sort of, what's the least tiring route here?
As my granddad used to say, out for a quiet life.
Yeah.
But you've got to draw a line, haven't you? I mean, like in that situation, the crisps in the Starbucks in the Costa, is like, well, what they're going to do, like you say.
But I think
I'm keen to continue to support these climate change resistance movements, but Extinction Rebellion gluing themselves to a road. I mean, like we've got a leaflet that we were given where it says take 2 weeks off work and go down to London and help them. Like from 7th of October, they're trying to disrupt Parliament, and there's a gradient of how much of your so-called normal life you're willing to sacrifice, but then you've still got to weigh in mind with that how much of your normal life you're going to lose if you don't do something about it. So there certainly has to be a balance. One thing that I thought actually I would very much like to do would be at that strike. I was thinking, that gives me a lot of inspiration for if I was going to write songs or write music. I would probably think about doing something along the lines of, something about the climate change situation and about the situation the planet's in and stuff like that.
But it's kind of a difficult crisis to be in some ways emotive about, I guess.
Yeah.
Because whilst it's an enemy with many faces, and those faces don't necessarily have to be enemies.
No. I was watching, the BBC do like a next day papers thing late at night. They look at the front pages and stuff. And to be honest, I was quite surprised at how little coverage there was of these climate strikes, certainly in the British press.
I did notice that.
But there were two sort of people commenting on it, and the woman that went first talking about the climate strikes when they came up was saying how, she was very much of the opinion that they shouldn't be giving up a day of their education, and especially bearing in mind that the government have set out these targets that they want to meet and are trying to address the climate change issue. But I'm totally in agreement with the other guy who responded to her by saying, I'm actually quite shocked by your complacency on this, because, there are millions of people are going to die. They're dying already.
Yeah.
The hottest 20 years on record have been in the last 22 years. It's just not. And
I know
it just seems like a trivial thing to say. Oh, you're missing a day off school, when it's like, no, hang on a minute. We're talking about the extinction of not just us, but hundreds of thousands of other species as well.
Yeah,
which is happening now.
And I know the UK proportionally doesn't make up a huge amount of the world's population, so there's that sort of attitude of, why isn't China doing anything about it? But it's that sort of idea of, if you want to be seen as the good guys in this situation, take fucking responsibility. Hit proper targets.
In a trade sense, surely what we do in the West must have an effect on them, because if we have rules that have to be abided by to import goods, that they have to have been produced in an environmentally friendly way, then China's going to lose all our business if they don't hop on board. Do you know what I mean?
Also, I know
they've got their own economy, but
I mean, it would, given all this talk of British values, shouldn't we actually boycott trade from China? Because a lot of it is produced unethically.
Yeah, well, I know there's been a lot of stuff in the news over the years about sweatshops that make the kind of clothes that you buy at these. I'm not going to name any names, but certain famous sort of cheap clothes shops. And I think there has been pressure to source more ethically, but I don't know how much of that has been adhered to. But there was.
We must have a free market and the freedom to use that market to oppress other people.
Yeah, we must also have the freedom to say "fuck you" and glue ourselves to roads and
take time off. That's the point.
That freedom works both ways.
It's sort of, whilst this is going to fuck me over personally, I care more about fucking over capitalism.
There is a whole kind of argument about this, and this is the essence of what a lot of leavers talk about with the EU, is that having these rules imposed about things such as, I noticed the latest coffee machine that we've got in the house won't stay on for more than 40 minutes, whereas the old one, we used to leave it on all day. Now, that's an EU directive that's obviously come along to do with energy conservation, and I quite agree with it. I find it slightly inconvenient because
also
I do
partly
have to keep remembering
safety.
Yeah, I suppose, yeah. But, I mean, there is that kind of reaction from certain members of society who want to have the freedom to, I want to be able to choose what I do with anything. And it's like, well, yeah, but that's an irresponsible attitude, because you just want to be able to do whatever you like and sod the consequences, basically, is what you're saying.
Yeah, that's why they... And we'll get onto this in
and this is
the actual subject of the podcast.
And this is what I'm talking about when I made the post, the photo that I put up of you guys at the strike was, this is what taking responsibility looks like. They talk about the kids of today being...
They say, oh, it's all PC. It's just actually giving consequences for bad actions.
See, that itself, I mean, I know you've referred to, in conversation with me, about political correctness gone wrong, and I think that phrase has taken on an incorrect meaning. In today's kind of doublethink world, it's become a criticism, political correctness. But when you think about what the words actually mean, what does the word correct mean?
Yeah.
You can't say that when something's correct, it's wrong. And seriously tell me that we're not living George Orwell's nightmare. It's like, correct means, what you mean is you don't agree with somebody else's judgment of how you treat people. Now, maybe it's about time, if you've got a problem with political correctness, that you have a good think about what those people feel like when you're shitting on them from a great height with your freedom. Rant.
Yeah. But it's these professional wankers that annoy me.
Professional wankers?
Yeah, I saw that on the MASH report today. People like Piers Morgan, Julia Hartley-Brewer, Katie Hopkins, those cunts.
Right. No, because I was thinking, there are actually professional wankers out there.
Oh yeah.
Don't worry, most of them are on webcam channels, but,
Anyway.
And probably the vast majority of them are female, but continue.
Probably. Anyway.
That wasn't a criticism, by the way, just an observation of...
Do you want to actually go into the subject?
Yeah, shall we? That would be funny.
Today's subject, if you cannot read, is comedy.
And before I forget to slip it in... sorry, that was an attempt to go meow, but it came out completely wrong because I'm not thinking.
You sounded like
I'm going to do some cross promotion.
Turkey.
Yeah, well, it's coming up to Christmas. Gobble gobble.
Gobble gobble.
Yeah, I just made that joke, but no, you've ruined it.
Oh, fuck you.
Yeah, cross promotion. Ego. Everybody's got one.
You have got one.
The podcast on the After Dark Network, which Craig used to run, he's letting go of the reins and handing over to Colin, and we will be on, hopefully. And I'm not sure if it'll all... No, it should be out, actually. Yeah. No. Actually, shall I finish my sentence?
We're recording this the day that this goes out.
Yeah. Not only that, but round about the exact time. So while you're listening to this, if you listen to it as soon as it comes out, as you should be, because you're all avid fans and you just can't wait, you're with bated breath waiting for the moment that our podcast is released, 9:00 on Thursday, when this comes out, is when we're recording.
Exactly.
And that is, funnily enough, not by design, just complete coincidence, is... a show on the top 5 comedians. If you've never listened to it, go and have a listen. It's funny.
Maybe it's got us on occasionally, so it has to be.
Well, I don't know what it's going to be, actually, because it's got a new presenter now. It used to be a filthy thing.
You say filthy thing?
Yeah, they've got they've got various characters on it. One of them, which is a paedophile with a, I can't remember.
I'm confused.
Talking about this little boy called Timmy or something. I don't know. I can't remember. It's all a blur. It's all very confusing. So let's get.
Sure you are Timmy?
Me, Timmy. No, I don't think I am.
It's just you said it's all a blur.
Oh God. Oh no, now I'm worried. Oh my God, this is my debut episode on there as well. Maybe I've been lured in. I'm nearly 48.
Mm-hmm.
The memories are coming flooding back.
Mm-hmm. Anyway, subject, comedy. I'm not really sure what I was
gonna say
doing when I put this, but I guess a good place to start, since I did mention it in the news thing, is this trend in comedy, and I'll put comedy in inverted commas because it quite often just isn't funny, is this moaning about PC culture ruining comedy and all that.
Well, see, that part of it, I don't... I kind of understand... I don't know. There's no point moaning about PC culture. I understand why some people might be offended by some comedy, but at the end of the day, I don't think that... as long as it's comedy, I don't think it's...
Well, it tends to not actually really have an effect on the comedian as well. That's the thing.
Some of it is intentionally offensive. That's what they're trying to do, to get a laugh, and it's like...
Yeah, but it's sort of... It's when that line... Because in
if
some...
it's meant...
Yeah, in some contexts, any language is okay, but it has to be specific context for some specific types of language.
But if you look at... what's his name? That one that goes... when he laughs. What's his name?
Jimmy Carr.
Yeah, Jimmy Carr. Sorry, Jimmy, I know you listen. Yeah, that one. Yeah. It's obvious. Some of the stuff he comes out with in his live stand-up is really way over the line, isn't it? But at the same time...
he plays with that with the audience. He says, what the fuck, you actually laughed at that? You're horrible human beings.
Yeah. It's clear that is... I suppose it's when it's not as clear whether or not it's done in a humorous way. There's some of the stuff that although I really like Ricky Gervais' stuff, some of the things that he's said...
He's a good writer, but he's a shit comedian, if I'm honest.
Yeah, a brilliant TV series that he did, that he's doing the second series of, what was that, Afterlife. That's really, really good. And The Office I really enjoyed. And I like his stuff on religion. But sometimes it feels like when you're coming out with all that anti-PC stuff, it feels like you're just pandering.
Sorry, what?
Anti-pissy stuff. It feels like you're just coming out with what you think some of your audience want to hear and pandering to the lowest common denominator in the audience. When it's like, you're in a position of responsibility where you should be able to actually take the piss out of the people that take the piss.
At that point, it becomes a political rally with jokes.
Not take the piss, but you should be taking the piss out of the people that are causing the offence.
Yeah. Well, that's... comedy based around race or sex, is taking the piss out of the oppressive things there. It's not really funny if you're just taking the piss out of someone who's genuinely... been taken the piss out of, but in a nasty way in real life for a long time. Yeah.
A good example of this is the whole kind of gender issues thing that people have various different views about. But there was a girl wearing a T-shirt. I don't know if she was a girl, actually, or he, or they. But they were wearing a T-shirt which said labels are for clothes, basically. And I thought, it's like, well, I think... we're getting back onto the old sort of sex-gender difference thing. But do you know what I mean? That there is in comedy, I think this is why it came into my mind, was that I've seen it, I've heard it said by comedians taking the piss out of people who identify as whatever.
But... it's just the same joke over and over again. It's just really fucking tiresome.
Yeah.
It just... But with that particular thing is that the comedians that try to take the piss out of that understand it so little that that's surface level thing is all they
but
can take the piss out
for me,
of.
it's like, well, at least they're making a choice. People who identify as something, at least they're making a choice. A lot of people just go along with whatever they've... I don't like the stereotypes that are imposed on me as a male, whatever that is.
Right.
And this conversation came up with the band, actually, talking about... Because Sam Smith's just declared that he should be forever referred to as they or them rather than he. And there was a discussion that came up about that. I wasn't taking the piss out of him. It was just kind of... But it was very non-understanding, shall we say. Because to me... I think that the point to me is, I think it's a shame that the world is a place where that has to be done. Because if there was gender equality in the first place, and if there was no gender bias in the first place, if there was no gender assumptions in the first place, then it wouldn't be a necessary thing. And the argument was being made that, it's like it's trying to take control of people's language and control the way that they actually think by doing that. Is by forcing people to refer to you in a particular way.
Well,
and it's like, language obviously isn't working if there isn't something that defines you.
No, well, this is why language evolves and takes on new meanings. This is why I think Merriam-Webster just added they as a non-binary pronoun to the dictionary.
Yeah, I think my only problem with that is there needs to be a new one, because they, to me, is...
Well, there is they,
but it tends to imply plural.
She as well.
There's what?
There's they and she as well, but it's sort of... They is a catch-all term for if you're not certain of someone's gender anyway, even if they identify as... If they identify as he or she, you can still call them they, and it works for everyone.
Yeah, I mean...
It's been used as a singular pronoun by Shakespeare, it's been used by Jane Austen.
Yeah.
This assumption that it's just this new thing is fucking bullshit.
Yeah. Interesting. We're not really on comedy, are we?
No, but
I
get annoyed at these people that are basically just using it as an excuse to take the piss out of people that are already having a pretty fucking hard time.
We just... I feel like our podcast turns into like a couple of hour rant on, which is fine, on political and whatever comedy. So anyway, speaking of Shakespeare, obviously he was famously tended to write either tragedies or comedies or histories, weren't they? Some of which kind of overlapped a bit. Mm-hmm. But is satire a specific form of comedy?
Yeah.
What would you? How would you define satire, as opposed to say something like slapstick?
Well, slapstick. I mean, it's probably easier to describe slapstick than it is satire. Slapstick is, by definition, very physical comedy.
Yeah, I would have to. I mean, you can't do an episode without talking about on comedy without highly revering and referring to a couple of my favourite comedians when I was a kid. I don't know if you see them that much nowadays, but it used to be on the telly all the time. It was Laurel and Hardy when I was a kid.
I've heard of them, but I've not seen them.
God, you haven't lived. Sorry, but it's just that's. I mean, I'm sorry. That must sound so old. Laurel and Hardy, in the same vein as who was the other guy? There was a guy that was hanging off a clock face. The famous film. Charlie Chaplin was another one with the swinging cane. This was all black and white times, but
wow, you didn't realise you were that old.
No, I wasn't. It's just that it was on the telly all the time when I was a kid. Remember when I was a kid, there was only 3 channels.
I suppose. I mean, that's sort of equivalent to like doing reruns from the 90s here.
Yeah.
Jesus, you are old then.
What do you mean?
Well, it's like my 20 years ago was the 90s. Yours was when you were born. Actually, my 20 years ago when I was born with the 80s. Your 20 years ago when you were born with the 40s.
50s. No, I was born in 71.
50s. I can't do maths because I'm not... That's really basic maths. I
was born the year Jimi Hendrix died.
That's depressing.
I could be Jimi Hendrix reincarnated.
I doubt it.
Having learned all the lessons that he learned.
He might be more talented.
I might be who?
More talented.
I might be more talented.
Nah, I'm joking.
Yeah, I think you...
Or am I?
No, Jimi Hendrix was a fucking genius.
Yeah.
Well, apart from the fact that he choked on his own vomit, but artists, we suffer for our art. Where was I? Oh, Carry On films. Have you seen many of them?
No.
Carry On films? Oh my god, you've missed out on
I've seen...
I mean, it's very, very dated and highly sexist.
I think it was a bit of that
Probably.
70s program or something, maybe. Talking about
what did you think of? I played to you a couple of weeks ago when we were pissed. First episode of a sitcom called Mind Your Language from the 70s, which.
Well, it was sort of, and this is where context is very important in comedy in general. At that time, nowadays if that was played, it would be played differently, but it the same sorts of jokes would be like, you would understand that it was ironic, kind of taking the piss of the past, of the time when that was around. So it's kind of hard to estimate at that time were the writers taking the piss of the time that they were in, and the fact that that sort of comedy was fairly, because it seemed like a lot of the humor was actually sort of based around, because that's about an English language class where
night school,
for adults, the actual English people are very bad at foreign languages.
You didn't get as far as actually the second half of the first episode where Inga from Sweden turns up and she's like this stereotypical big-breasted blonde kind of young good-looking Swedish girl who obviously the prim and proper English teacher gets very flustered whenever he's speaking to her because she's clearly just basically waving her tits in his face, you know. It's like, and it is all built on stereotypes. But I think what struck me thinking about it was, I think it's a shame, and I think it's because of the people that are more right wing and actually mean it with malice. I think it's a shame that we can't take the piss out of each other and each other's cultures without the fear of it being meant in
it's sort of
a bad way.
And it's not the fault of the people that would assume that it's bad. It's the fault of the people that actually mean it in a bad way. Yeah. Creating that atmosphere of, are we really sure anymore? It's that, there's a thing on the internet, I think it's called Godwin's Law. That might be another one.
It'd be nice to be able to take the piss out of somebody without them thinking, oh God, am I going to get stabbed?
I can't remember if Godwin's Law is the one where if you compare someone to Hitler on the internet, you've lost an argument, or if anyone says anything on the internet, especially in creationist forums, you can't assume that they don't mean it.
Yeah.
Especially now with fucking flat Earth. I mean, that is the stereotypical...
You took the words out of my mouth there, because...
joke theory.
That guy that I referred to earlier that was on the BBC Papers thing, his response to that woman, basically he said, if you don't address the situation that's happening with the climate the way it is right now, if you don't acknowledge that it's something worth missing a day of school for, you may as well just fuck off and join the Flat Earthers. I mean, he didn't say fuck off, but you may as well just go and join the Flat Earthers, because that's how serious it is.
Yeah, that's we're not talking about have to be.
Yeah, we're not talking about, oh, they should be in school, they're missing a day of education. We're talking about and getting back to it. I don't apologise for it.
Droves, saving, missing out on their planet.
It's not. I mean, the language is unfortunate because it's not about saving the planet. The planet will save itself. It's about saving the human race and the other species that are going to suffer because of our actions.
I mean, not even necessarily. Looking at new evidence from Venus, the way that actually the greenhouse effect works is once we get to a certain point pumping that out, it could spiral out of control, so it just gets hotter and hotter and actually inhospitable for life.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, we've all seen chemical reactions in the lab at school. You know, it's like...
yeah.
All it takes is for the balance to be tipped a particular amount.
Yeah.
There's my contribution.
Once it gets to a certain point, it's this thing that people don't, because it would I think people before, even scientists, assumed that it would just return to normal once human does fuck off and stop putting shit into
Well, when you say normal, that's only relative to what we know.
Return to its natural state when civilizational collapses have happened in the past.
Again, I've got to pull you up on that, because natural state is the way it will always be. Natural state includes the way that we make it.
Sorry. But I mean, for general speaking purposes, return to how it was before technology.
Yeah.
But, still, there would be... unless it eroded, it would erode over time, but once humans were extinct, there would still be ruins about.
There was something I found quite depressing. There was a guy that went down, that specialises in deep sea diving, and he's been to the bottom of the Mariana Trench and stuff. He's obviously well funded, whether he's rich or not, I don't know. But he's I think he's got this titanium thing and he's done the five deepest. He's been to the deepest point now in the ocean, which is, I think, somewhere under the Antarctic somewhere. I don't know. But anyway.
No, it'd be in the Pacific. That's the Mariana Trench.
No, it's deeper than the Mariana Trench, this place that he's been to.
Is it?
I think so. Maybe I'm bullshitting.
The Mariana Trench, to my knowledge, is the deepest point.
But anyway, wherever he's been down really deep in some trench somewhere. But basically, however deep it is, a couple of miles down, how far does it go down?
13,000 meters. So you could dip Mount Everest in there and you'd still have another Mont Blanc to go.
But, the sort of footage and the evidence of life that he's come back with is fascinating, that, there's life forms we've never seen. But also, there's also evidence of human life down there, because... He saw they showed a pyramid shaped structure, a small thing, but it turns out that what you were actually seeing, it was quite small, but it was actually a carrier bag at the bottom of the trench. It's that's depressing.
Yeah. It's we found Atlantis. No, it's just a Tesco bag.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah. Tesco, sort your fucking lives out. I'm fed up with going in there and only having the choice to buy stuff that is in plastic bags, In actual fact, we're going to Lidl more now, but it's partly because it's a lot cheaper, but also there seems to be a lot less packaging.
Yeah, it's interesting though. I know Tesco is
I'll pay more,
relatively cheap, but Lidl is quite famed in the UK for being quite cheap, and
our shopping cost about half as much.
Yeah, but also. I did notice, I think there was something on the news about...
By the way, if you want any sponsorship deals, just...
Aldi or something, I can't remember. But
it was Aldi we went to, not Lidl, sorry. Aldi and Invariably.
Yeah, I did notice that they had more renewable things.
Yeah.
Comedy.
But yeah, fucking sort your lives out. Give us more stuff not in plastics, please. Thank you. Even if it costs a bit more, I'll pay a bit more for something in paper or cardboard.
I feel like this should be separate into your house. We've had our ranty bit. Just one more ranty bit on that.
We can't help ranting.
Well, is that they also pretend that their freedom of speech is at risk?
Who?
The sort of comedians that's PC culture is silencing me.
No,
how do you have a fucking Netflix special then if you're being silenced?
Not being funny, but we're not saying don't say those things. We're saying you're a fucking arsehole for saying those things, and we have the freedom, because we have freedom of speech too.
Yeah,
to call you out on it. So go fuck yourself.
I've genuinely had people in arguments with me say that they genuinely believe that any opinion can be said with no criticism, and it has to be respected because that's how freedom of speech.
Even the opinion that everybody else should not be able to contradict your own opinion.
I can't remember. I think it was Carl Jung.
Isn't that the?
It might be someone else.
Tolerance of intolerance.
Yes, the intolerance paradox about should we tolerate intolerance, and it gets to a point where. Once you tolerate intolerance to a certain amount, say the Nazis.
But this is my point, though, is that Nazis, they should have the freedom to say what they want to say.
They could tolerate people's existence.
At the same time, they've then got to tolerate everybody else turning around and telling them to fuck off. You can't say that everybody has the freedom to form their own opinions and have their own opinions and voice them, while not accepting that everybody else has the freedom to turn around and tell you you're a fucking twat.
But effectively speaking, that sort of language can be silencing to oppressed groups.
Yeah.
That sort of creating this atmosphere of hate can create an actual silencing.
Are we going to have to change the title of this episode?
No, but we'll get into a lighter bit if you want.
Yeah, I think we should. It's just difficult because this is our platform. We're in a soapbox.
We're inspired to.
We've got things. Yeah, we've just been out and done something we feel good about. So
I want to burn shit now.
What was that one I saw? The sign that I saw? Yeah, I thought it was a bit sexist actually. Some men just want to watch the world burn. It was a Batman quote, but it was a direct quote, so I'll let her off. She was the one with the labels, is it for clothes thing, t-shirt. Anyway, comedy, Monty Python.
Yes, Monty Python's a weird one. It's sort of when you get into sort of defining comedy. I mean, there isn't really any way to define it. I mean,
see, this.
I don't know. Do you find sitcoms funny?
It depends on what they are. I find Friends funny.
I don't. I don't find those sitcoms, with possibly the exception of the IT crowd. What I find the ones with the laugh tracks.
Oh yeah, I find them a bit annoying, but I find the sarcasm funny in some of them.
Yes.
But going back a little bit, the Carry On stuff obviously was. I mean, it was very British, but it was quite sexist and dated. But have you heard of the Goons?
Mm-hmm.
They were the Goons. Have you heard of the Goons? Spike Milligan.
I've heard of that.
Yeah, he was borderline. I think he'd been in and out of lunatic asylums. But he was borderline genius comedian. But also a little bit unhinged as well. He'd written books and stuff, but he was one of the Goons team. The Goons show were like a radio series in the 60s, which was just bizarre. I mean, off the wall humour. You could do stuff on radio which you couldn't do on TV, I think, because it just went off on these tangents that were just like... I mean, the nearest thing I can think of, I don't know whether you've seen them, is, have you heard of a film called Time Bandits?
I've heard of it, but...
it's all that very kind of zany, kind of crazy kind of... And I think Monty Python is from the same kind of mould.
Yeah.
Don't know if you've heard of Not the 9 O'Clock News, which was a similar kind of vein of... It was, but a lot of it's very political in nature, but not... It's weird because it's done in such a silly way that it's kind of... I don't know.
I find it interesting with those... late night shows, well, the ones that I watch anyway, some of the ones in America just sort of a bit grating and about celebrity news, that sort of thing, but the ones that are more about politics and serious issues they sort of alternate between comedy and doing really stupid stuff and serious talk.
Yeah,
it's sort of where that's become a more reliable source of news almost.
Russell Howard's good at that.
Actual news.
Mm.
I mean, at least in America, because then fucking news is a disgrace.
There's a lot of crossover, isn't there? Because, I mean, comedians have kind of gone into the kind of travel documentary kind of world as well. And what's his name? Who was one of the Monty Python team, was one of the first that I remember doing it quite famously. Michael Palin.
Yes.
Palin's something or other it was called. But yeah, I mean, that Ramesh Ranganathan's done it. And I'll tell you what I really like is... I'm not so keen on the ones that have got Ricky Gervais and... what's his name in? But the Karl Pilkington stuff. Yeah. I like the stuff that he did just on his own. But it annoys me when he comes back and basically Ricky Gervais and what's the other guy with the funny eyes? Yeah, when they just come back and take the piss out of him and just laugh uncontrollably at him. It's just like, it's just annoying.
Honestly, though, with some of the stuff he comes out with, I would take the piss out of him to the same degree.
I know, but it's just that I think it's Ricky Gervais's laugh. He just goes so over the top with it. It's just like, yeah, I know it's funny and it's quirky what he's coming out with, but it's not that funny, you know? It's just like...
But it's sort of interesting how his mind works and how he interprets the world. It's just sort of, what?
But there is that kind of question in your mind whenever he opens his mouth, Karl Pilkington, as to whether or not he means what he's saying or if he's doing it because he's playing this character. Do you know what I mean?
I didn't really think about it like that. I just was a fucking idiot.
Because it is that you do get that in life a lot. Is when you hear people talking, you think, do they really think this, or are they just kind of taking the piss? You know, it's almost satire that they're doing. They're taking the piss out of people that are like that.
Yeah.
Because I think to see Karl Pilkington's character, I think to myself, if he was the kind of person that thought that way, he would never have the kind of personality that could get famous or could succeed at doing something like that. Not without somebody else's input or help. You know, I mean, it's not. He just seems to be. He seems to play a character a lot thicker than he must be.
He seems like someone off of Gogglebox, but being taken around the world and having a lot more production put into it.
Because when you think like that, you sort of think, yeah, but then when you think about Gogglebox, you got to think as well, they know that they're on camera. Mm. So you got to think everybody who knows that they're on camera and they're being recorded are, in essence, playing a character.
I guess, to varying degrees, yeah. But yeah.
So, are we real?
I mean, you play characters every day to different people. So, really, this is just another facet of this is the purest, I guess, people version of yourself. But also, you're doing it to a camera, so you're not as worried about personally offending someone, I guess.
No, because they can't shout back at you.
No.
Fuck you guys.
Yeah.
We really should stop insulting our audience so much. Actually, who gives a shit? If you're listening, then it's because you like being insulted. You're masochists.
Probably like it, the little bitches.
Yeah. Masochist propaganda.
What the fuck are we even talking about now?
Let's brainwash our audience.
No.
Oh, go on. It'd be fun.
I don't think I can.
Yeah, that's it. You play good cop.
No, it's not that I don't think I can ethically, it's that I don't think I can. I don't have the capacity to make propaganda.
You like us swearing at you. Keep talking and I'll just...
No, this sounds weird now. I don't like it. It's sounding dodgy.
Yeah, that's it. You
plant
those phrases in their brain.
No.
Yeah, I like it when you say no.
Okay.
No, don't leave the room.
No.
Fucking hell. Where are you going?
No. My happy place is where I'm going.
No, it's just comedy.
Thank you.
Pardon me.
I'm coming back now.
Are you sure about that? Is it safe? Keep it secret. Keep it safe.
Oh, that smells. Oh, fuck. Oh, that's horrible.
What?
Jesus Christ. What have you been eating?
I don't know. I think I might have just shit myself.
Oh,
fuck. Well, I have been vegan for a while, although I've been eating a bit of dairy recently, so I can't really claim that, can I? I'm more vegetarian, really.
Disturbing is what you are.
Disturbed. So, yeah, what are we going to talk about comedy-wise, then? What do you think of Will Ferrell?
Okay. A good topic. British versus American comedy. It comes up quite a lot.
British.
Will Ferrell's is a...
British.
Will Ferrell is a good example.
British.
Of what are you saying?
I'm placing my vote. You said British versus American. I'm placing my vote British.
Well, yeah. I mean, we are both British, so it would make sense that... I mean, whilst there are some people from both countries that prefer the other...
I don't want to cross over too much because obviously we've got the stand-up comedians thing coming up, but we're going to be recording that. Well, I want to. We don't want to rule out stand-up comedy from our episode. There are some exceptions. There are two American stand-ups that I really, really respect, and I should have looked them up beforehand because I always forget their names when I need to say what they are. Who is it? Bill Hicks and the guy that plays Rufus in Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure, Carlin. Will Carlin? George Carlin. Will and George are very similar names. George Carlin, yeah.
Both of them are dead.
But who was that guy that I was in absolute stitches over when we were watching something stand up the other week? And he didn't really say much. It was just all kind of slapstick, kind of... I can't remember his name, but why did I find that so funny? I couldn't stop laughing. He was basically just being really stupid, wasn't he? Just being like really kind of... He didn't really say many words. He just kind of made gestures and made sounds.
I'm trying to remember.
The Adventures of Herbert Clunkerdunk.
I think The Mind of Herbert Clunkerdunk.
Who's this?
Spencer Jones.
Spencer Jones. Oh, is that him?
Yeah.
Is this a TV series?
Yes. Do you want to watch this afterwards?
Yeah, let's. That didn't really work very well on podcast, did it?
No.
My face.
His jaw dropped. Dropped?
Sure. A man constantly interrupted by his own imagination. See, that's brilliant. That's. I love that whole concept. And there's somebody else who's really good at stand-up that I really like, who goes off on these tangents and comes back like half an hour later when you've completely forgotten.
James A. Caster.
No, but he's good too. No, I'm thinking the guy, Russ.
Russell Kane?
Russ.
Eddie... what's the one?
Ross
Noble.
Ross Noble, thank you. Russ Noble. Russ Noble. Ross Noble. I just remember seeing this routine where he was... Basically, his whole routine was anchored around this... Something to do with an owl that was gripping onto the perch in its cage. But...
And there was one where he was like raised by gorillas or something.
Yeah, he's done a lot of TV series, which I don't find as nearly as funny. I think they're more sort of documentary style stuff. He is a fascinating guy. Billy Connolly, he's another good one. Although I think he's pretty much lost his mind now. He's is it Alzheimer's he's got? Don't know. He's not what he was. He's getting on a bit now. I'll have to look him up, but he was funny in his day. I don't know if he'll ever be on tour again because he's.
It's interesting saying about George Carlin and
the Big
Bill
Ian.
Hicks, though. No, you did show me one of Bill Hicks' ones. From
it wasn't the best
80s.
one. It wasn't the best one.
And it's just this really long bit where he goes on about people not smoking, and that seems just really alien to me as someone who's just grown up in a time where it's very common knowledge that smoking's bad for you.
Well, but it was then. It was just that he was very against people. But the ironic thing about it is he died of lung cancer. The Sex Life of Bandages.
What?
Recorded in Sydney in 2015 before Billy Connolly. Outrageous Tales and Hilarious. He's funny. He's funny as fuck. Billy Connolly, but he's got something. Oh, he's down as a musician as well. Hang on, he used to be a welder. Yeah. No, don't interrupt me.
Well, I thought it was fairly common knowledge that he's a musician. I thought he was a musical comedian.
I
might be thinking of Billy Joel.
Billy Joel's not a comedian, is he?
No, but he's a musician, so I was getting confused. He's become an artist now by lots of things. Because he was on that BBC Arts thing, I think.
Yeah.
No, Sky Arts, sorry. What are you doing?
I'm trying to find what's wrong with him.
I don't think it's anything.
It is.
Well, it'll be in fucking personal life, won't it, if it is? Wait.
Here we go.
He's got
Parkinson's, that's the one.
Well, that's not really... Does that affect the mind? I mean, it affects, like, the muscle connections, but...
I don't know, then. Yeah, but he's... Comedy. Red Dwarf. I'm just coming out with names of comedy things now. You're getting fed up
Be
as well.
more useful.
What? You direct the conversation then. You're the boss.
Dickhead. Right.
Are you calling me a dickhead?
Yes.
Fuck you. You didn't enjoy Phoenix Nights, did you?
No, that was a load of shit.
You only watched the first episode.
Well, the first episode was shit from what I saw. Can you not, just put your chin on your fucking mic?
You're a bit like Oliver Laurel in Laurel and Hardy.
Fuck yourself.
Just more modernised.
Fuck yourself. Anyway.
I'm going to sulk.
What are you doing?
I'm waiting for you to go on with whatever it was you're saying anyway about.
George Carlin. I did see... I mean, there's... On that whole PC thing, people saying that, particularly baby boomers... saying, youngsters couldn't handle his comedy. But they forget that he did a whole bit on baby boomers being really whiny and having that philosophy of, give me that.
Yeah, I'm going to go on a political rant if I'm not careful because baby boomers piss me off.
Yes, basically left the world with shit and now complaining that people are complaining about that.
Well, I'm Generation X. I got shat on, so the forgotten generation.
Okay, but you could have done something.
You think?
Not maybe you.
My teenage years were pretty much Maggie Thatcher.
Yeah, but
that
when
Maggie
does that
Thatcher
generation begin?
HIV and nuclear fear.
When does that generation begin?
Generation X? I don't know.
When it is sort of loose because it's not actually like any sort of.
But there are
fast rules.
There are formative years, aren't there, for when you're growing up?
1960,
early to mid 1960s to the early 1980s, 1965 to 1980, roughly.
I mean, I've heard there's sort of people saying that
it was a pretty depressing outlook.
When millennials began.
It was a pretty depressing outlook, the 1980s. I mean, I don't know if you've heard of a film called Wall Street, which I think came out in the late 80s, Michael Douglas, but that pretty much summed up the whole. I mean, that was really when capitalism really took off.
But it is sort of nowadays
Filofaxes and
with your age group at least. I mean, you're towards actually.
We're the first generation that earn less than our parents.
You're towards the second half of that generation.
Am I? What do you mean?
Like when you were born.
What, 65 to 1980 is the?
Yeah, you're towards the actual younger people of your generation.
Oh, right, I see. Yeah. Well, older, because I was only 6 years into it, really. Well, 71, so...
Yeah, you're towards the younger people of that generation.
Well, no, because there's people that are 9 years younger than me that were considered Generation X, 1980.
Well, I think it is generally actually 1978, but... there is overlap there, obviously, because
I'm pretty much slap bang in the middle.
Yeah, but like there are people much older than you in your generation.
Yeah, my brother.
Yeah.
There's people much younger than me as well. Mum is technically Generation X, just about.
Yeah, under some definition, she's actually a millennial, which is surprising, considering like how much older people your generation included. Because basically,
it's all bollocks, isn't it? Really, I mean.
Basically, most of the baby boomers are now.
I mean, I lived through the turn of the millennium. It's like, I was there in London on the New Year's Eve. It's just, so why am I not regarded as a millennial? Because I lived through that.
You didn't grow up for it.
I could claim I was still growing up for years after it. But
okay, yeah, but like that's not how age works.
No, that's how society thinks age works, though. Like that. No, that I know what you mean. Formative years, basically. Yeah. But in actual fact, I think that's maybe a major crux of the problem. Would you fuck off?
Can you stop playing with your fucking beer can?
No. Get off. No, seriously, fuck off.
Stop playing.
I'm going to stop the podcast.
Stop playing with it.
I'm going to stop the podcast. Why? Just because it looks like I'm stroking a cock?
It makes noises.
Oh, you don't have to edit it.
But I'm to listen to it.
Oh, you're so uptight. I forgot what I was saying now. Yeah, that's the whole problem, is that people think that you reach a certain age where you're defined as a person and you never continue to grow. But...
Are you okay?
No. I feel undermined.
Okay. Right.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, I think people in the past, I don't know if it's in the past or just the way I am, that I think people should just continue to grow up and continue to learn and continue to change their views on things and accept that things don't stay the same once you reach a certain age.
Mm.
You know, the world is going to continue evolving, whether you decide to evolve with it or not.
Yeah. And I think a lot of
This is not comedy anymore, is it?
No.
Comedy evolves.
Yeah. Well, it has to. I mean, it gets to a certain point where it's not really comedy when it's that sort of nasty, laughing at someone kind of way.
I'm not comfortable with the term. I know what it means and what it's referring to, but I'm not comfortable with the term. I don't know what else to call it. Maybe they call it dark humour now, but there was black humour was what it used to be called.
Well, it's black comedy.
Black comedy, yeah.
But that originates like around Shakespeare, really.
Yeah. Mm. See, this is the thing that I often find myself laughing at horror. And I think sometimes it's meant to be funny. There's so many different forms of comedy, isn't there? I almost feel like Boris Johnson's a comedian.
Well, yeah, that's the thing, but he's dangerous, though.
Yeah.
And whilst he's a fucking idiot, he has smart people behind him, and that facade of just being a buffoonish schoolboy parading around on zip wires and tackling school
children. What about Trump, though? Do you think he's, like, do you think he's got smart people behind him, or do you think he's just set loose, if you like?
He's got the Kremlin behind him, they're pretty fucking smart. But it's sort of, as put by John Oliver, and I will go back to the sort of comedy news thing, because this seems to be a very political episode. Can you not fart to undermine my point?
I need a wee.
It is essentially stupid Watergate, because it's a conspiracy with all the gravitas of Watergate, but everyone involved is fucktastically stupid.
What do these leaders of our civilization have to do to get ousted? What is it going to take for them to be kicked out?
Well, that's the thing. Our democracies aren't set up to deal with these kinds of people. No.
I'm going to suggest, because I need a wee, I'm going to suggest we take a short break.
Yeah.
Are you going to speak to them while I go for a wee?
You'll find out, won't you?
I will.
What are you doing?
Going to the toilet.
You look like a caveman. It's around about the time that I was born anyway, so may as well act the part. This is interesting. Generation X, what happened? That's not generally a good... That's just like Google Images that comes up above the Wikipedia page. One of them is Generation X, what happened? That's not a good way to start things. Midlife despair on the rise. Generation X, oh, the band. Oh, when that was actually a term for youthful people. I'm assuming that was like the 80s. Wild youth. No! Still smell your last fart before you did that.
I'm addicted to nuts.
Well, that's okay.
We've got a jar of peanuts in the kitchen, and I can't move anywhere in the house without going and getting a handful of peanuts and throwing them into my gobulator.
Stop nibbling on those nuts.
They're salty.
Oh dear.
So what's happening? You know what's going to happen? We've got more beer, and we're gonna. You're looking at me as if it's like, what did you say? What did you say? I'm worried our podcast is degenerating into an excuse for us to get pissed and just talk bollocks. That's what it's supposed to be, though, isn't it?
Yeah.
We're gonna try to watch something funny afterwards, and you're gonna fall asleep because that's what always happens.
I've been unusually tired this week.
Yeah, people tend to need to sleep.
Mm-hmm.
What are you doing anyway now? What did you say about me? What did you say on mic?
I said a bit about your generation.
My generation?
Yeah.
People try to bring us down.
I can't sing.
What?
But I can't sing.
What were you trying to...
But it's weird. I mean,
I'm not really typical of my generation, though, I don't think.
I don't know. I mean, Generation X hasn't really been given a name. It's just sort of...
We're the least definable, really.
Yeah, like X. That's the thing. It's just sort of...
The forgotten generation.
I mean, there's the silent generation.
The baby boomers are boring old farts that are stuck in their ways and sorry, but you are. The wise, the millennials are... I don't know. It's all bollocks, really.
A lot of it is for just marketing purposes.
Yeah. I think Generation X... I don't care what generation I am. It's like, stop fucking labelling me. Stop sticking me in a box.
They pick a generation to market a certain thing to where they think it will get the most sales.
Mm-hmm.
And that does tend to be millennials. So people see ads for something and then they're like, why do millennials need this? But it's not actually always for millennials.
Mm-hmm.
Can you stop biting your nails?
I'm not. I'm picking peanuts out of my teeth.
How do you have peanuts in your teeth?
You eat nuts.
Anyway.
Do you like South Park?
I've not watched it a great deal. I mean, I've seen ads for it.
I've heard mixed... Well, I never used to be able to. I didn't used to enjoy it. I didn't used to like it, but I've been told it's really, really good again now. Apparently, it started off really good, had a bit of a dip, and then it seems to have got really good again. But like really topical kind of. But I don't really know. This is not going anywhere, is it?
No.
How are we going to?
Right, late night shows. So I did mention like stupid work. Do you think it's healthy that
I like
news has essentially been? I mean, at least
I like
a lot of news, at least in like America, is now more reliable.
I forgot
like, journalism wise.
I forgot what it's called, but I like that one with the Australian guy that came out of the Olympics.
The Last Leg.
The Last Leg. I like that one.
Do you think it's healthy that that's how people get news now?
Well, I think different people get different news in different ways because you seem to get a lot of your news off Twitter. I seem to be ahead of you on news quite a lot because I get mine from the BBC, mostly. Now, I know...
I just don't really check it that regularly. It just sort of... Because with Twitter, it's sort of you're where you last were, so if you scroll up... And it's not always actually in order.
I just wouldn't...
Not sure how
it's not necessarily a trustworthy way to see this because obviously any news source can be biased, although I think the BBC tend to be fairly unbiased, but not completely.
About as
I just don't think I would trust social media for news. Simply because, for me, social media is a mixture of opinions and sponsored ads.
I guess, but it's sort of... I think I'm savvy enough to sift through the opinions and follow the right people there.
Mm.
And even if...
How do you know when you're not, though?
I don't know, I have a bit of common sense, I guess, but it's sort of an age-old question of how do you know when you're being lied to straight to your face? It's not really about comedy, is it?
No, how do you talk about comedy for a podcast? I think we've maybe missed that bus.
Let's just have fun with it.
Meow.
Do you find The Big Bang Theory funny?
I do. I would like to watch it. I've got a bit of a thing for, is it Penny?
Of course you fucking do.
What is that supposed to mean?
That you're a pervert.
Why is it perverted to find somebody to have a crush on someone? That's not perverted. What's perverted is that view. That's an unhealthy view. Because
they're marketed to appeal to your desires.
What are you talking about marketed? It's an actor. It's a character in something.
Yeah, but in that, they're very marketed in that way that they're supposed to be, they're the sexy one that all these
I don't think they necessarily are in that program.
They are.
Well, is that not everyone in a sitcom? I mean, it's not, it's traits. It's not, there's nothing specific about that character that makes me have a thing for her. It's just that it's, what are you talking about, marketed? I'm not going to buy her.
Well, you kind of are by watching it.
So are you saying actors are prostitutes?
Sort of.
Well, musicians are, I know that.
Yeah.
Of the worst kind. Well, not the worst kind, the most intense kind.
Yeah.
I mean,
buskers are doing it for free.
At least lap dancers are only selling their body.
Mm.
Musicians are selling their soul. We can't stay on comedy, can we?
Do you think Christians can be funny?
I think Jews can.
Well, yeah, that's the thing about minority comedy.
Mm.
When it's like racial comedy.
But Jews laugh at themselves.
Well, yeah, that's the point, because they know a lot about Judaism from just being raised in that environment. But I mean, quite often they're not actually religious Jews.
But I was going to say, I wonder if any of that is because you can be Jewish ethnicity without being religiously Jewish.
But it's that sort of, they can do it. Well, first of all, they can do it without making people feel uncomfortable because people know that they can take the piss out of it because they're taking the piss out of themselves slightly.
Do you know what I think, though, with Jews? I think it's a very noble thing that they do when they take the piss out of themselves, because it's almost like they're giving the rest of the human race permission to feel comfortable about laughing at them. When you look at the way they've been treated by just about everybody throughout history, and really the natural response, if you're not Jewish, would be to feel really uncomfortable about what they've been put through.
Yeah, I mean,
so it's almost like they're making light of it so that you can relax.
The same goes for black
I mean,
comedians and LGBT comedians and Asian comedians. It's
that's kind of like an antidote to what we were saying though about the difference between laughing at someone and being nasty to them. It's almost like they're giving you permission to laugh at them.
Yeah, I mean,
without assuming that you're actually being.
I don't think it's actually an emoji, but there's this sort of edited sort of, and I think it does sort of sum up like nasty laughing. It's the crying laughing face, but the eyes are like they're wide open.
Right. Okay.
It's weird, but that sort of a thing generally has that nasty twinge to it, I think.
Laughing out rather than with.
Yeah, but it's sort of quite often comedians, like, they take the piss out of their upbringing. Like Russell Howard will to no end take the piss out of his own family. Because they're a funny bunch. And most people's families are, generally.
There's a Scottish comedian that I find really funny. He's done like arenas and stuff.
Daniel Sloss.
No.
Frankie Boyle.
No, he was actually...
Kevin Bridges.
Yes, he's the one. He was actually playing Glasgow something or other. Was it the SECC? Not the Armadillo place. Where was it we went to see? The Hydro. He was playing there the night before we went to see somebody.
Yeah, I remember.
And I didn't realise I would have actually made the effort to perhaps get tickets for that, but...
Been to a few comedy gigs. Have you been?
We have.
I mean, you
took part in some. I've been on VHS videos of the Baddiel and Skinner Unplanned ones.
Is that David Baddiel?
Yeah, and Frank Skinner. They did a whole.
I didn't realise that they were connected.
Well, they used to do, and it's really good. They used to do a thing on TV, which was a series called Baddiel and Skinner Unplanned, where they would basically just have a sofa and they would just sit there and they would talk, and it would be unplanned. I suppose you'd call it stand-up comedy, but sit-down comedy. But it was so successful on TV that they did a whole run of about a month in London.
Sort of a televised podcast, almost.
Yeah, pretty much. But they did a whole month in London on stage of Baddiel and Skinner Unplanned, and every show was different. And I went to... actually, this is an interesting story. I suppose it's not really, but it was a turning point for me. I went to see two of their shows, the Saturday matinee and the Saturday evening, on that tour. I was about in the third row in the middle aisle kind of thing. But it was the week after I'd split up with my girlfriend, who I'd been with for about nearly 5 years, the one before I met your mum. And I had 2 tickets for each show. And I had a choice, so it was that turning point for me. I'd been really down. It really hit me because we've been together so long. It hit me when we split up. I'm glad it happened, and it was the best thing to happen. But I had a choice to make, and I could either just not go because I couldn't face going. I mean, imagine say if you're getting married and you get jilted at the altar, do you still go on the honeymoon? Do you know what I mean? You've got these 2 tickets that you bought with somebody.
I feel like that's a bit different, but
yeah, but it's that similar kind of thing that you bought 2 tickets to go with someone that you've been with for years, and then you split up like literally a few days before you're due to go. What do?
I mean, my small scale version of that was that I was going to buy chocolate for someone on Valentine's Day, and they were going to buy me chocolate as well.
Well, I did something that I'm very proud of. I just thought, fuck it, I'm just going to go and I'm going to enjoy it. I'm going to sit there with an empty seat next to me and I'm going to have a fucking great time. And it was great. And I know it's like something that I just loved just being on my own, and it was a great. Anyway, it was released it was filmed that day, and it was released on VHS video. I think I've got it somewhere. You do see me on camera sometimes. No. I digitized it though. Oh, right. It's probably on YouTube anyway. But yeah, it was really good. Yeah, you'd like Baddiel and Skinner Unplanned. It's your kind of comedy, kind of that kind. It is very much in the same kind of vein, I suppose, as like a cross between what we do and things like The Last Leg.
I've seen a bit of kind of David Baddiel and Frank Skinner. I've not seen any stand-up from either of them, I don't think, but I've seen them like on various panel shows.
Yeah.
They don't seem to have that sort of. I mean, maybe they were younger. That probably were younger because that's how time works.
Are you sure?
But maybe with that youth, they had more energy then. A lot of comedians sort of go into comedy with a lot of energy, and that's
Frank Skinner does seem a lot slower nowadays than he used to.
Right.
I mean, I think this came off the back of they used to have. I think it was a football-based show. It was kind of comedy, but it was very football-based because they actually sang, I think, one of the World Cup songs. Okay. The official World Cup songs back in the 90s. I can't remember what it was called. It was a famous TV series though about football comedy based thing. Badil and Skinner.
I mean, there are other kinds of like comedy shows. So, like you said, when comedians do.
What was that?
Not sure.
I'm going to turn the metronome off, and I'm going to save this just in case it's about to crash before it carries on. Sorry, it's just a preemptive save of the logic file in case there was something beeped, and I'm a bit worried about it. You heard it, didn't you?
Yeah, not going insane.
No.
There's camera's just gone.
We just leave it and finish shortly.
Sure.
See if we can get back onto comedy before.
Anyway, different kinds of comedy shows. So I quite like that.
I've never seen that.
Clam. You mentioned about travel shows. So, I mean, there seems to be this trend now of comedians doing things with their mums. I mean, I think it's just Ramesh Ranganathan and...
well, we've gone against that. We're not really comedians, but we've gone against that. But I think that things are... Nowadays, there's a lot less kind of stigma attached to that whole kind of... You know, people are more honest about where they're from and what their background is, and, you know, they're not ashamed of their families as much, although he does take the piss out of it, but it's like in a nice way. You know, it's like you know, you're a fucking idiot, but I still love you, kind of thing.
Oh, it's funny. There was.
I'm sure she plays up to it.
There was some program where they just had like little short snippets of where I think it was Ramesh Ranganathan talking to comedians in a cafe, and him talking to Russell Howard. They have that thing where
because he does that as well, doesn't he?
Quite often they're told that their mums are funnier than them.
Yeah.
But it's just that sort of frustration with, well, actually, that took a million takes for them to be that funny. That was just what made the edit.
Yeah.
Everything I made was sort of funny and occasionally really funny. Just that one thing that they said that actually made the edit was funny.
Mm-hmm. Is that what you think?
Well, that's what they said.
Okay. But is that what you think about being on podcast with your dad?
We're not. Well, I'm not a professional comedian.
Aren't you?
Surprisingly.
I'm shocked. So what are we going to do then tonight with the rest of our beer? Are we going to
probably watch comedy,
continue with music, or are we going to go down the comedy route?
Well, it feels like we should watch comedy since we're talking about. Well, we're meant to be talking about comedy now.
We'll actually get onto the subject of comedy.
Yeah.
After the podcast's finished. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Have you seen This Is Spinal Tap? It's got 5 stars on. It's on Sky at the moment. It's a. Have you heard of it? It's called. It's a mockumentary. It's a film that came out in.
Jonathan Pye.
Right.
He did a mockumentary about the US elections, and he referenced that.
Right. Yeah, it's basically following like a rock band on tour, like behind the scenes of them, like putting together stuff. But they actually. I mean, they were put together for this film, for this mockumentary. But they did actually play at Donington Monsters of Rock Festival, and they got bottled off. Bottled, as in right. Okay, so this is, you won't know what this is. See, Donington Monsters of Rock, it doesn't exist anymore, but the nearest thing to it is Download Festival now, which is like 2 or 3 days. But Monsters of Rock used to be a 1-day rock festival. It used to be like metal and rock bands. People like AC/DC, Guns N' Roses, Metallica, all those kind of bands used to play. Mm-hmm. Still do, Download. But you're not allowed glass bottles in there. So before you go in, basically you either had to bring any drinks that you brought with you in those, you know, like the 5-litre plastic bottles, like that you get for putting like oil in, or they're like plastic bottles, but they've got like a handle and a screw cap. They're 5 litres. You basically had to take any drinks that you take in those. And they had an endless supply of them outside, so you could pour drinks into them if you had cans or kegs or whatever. But of course, when you're in the middle of the crowd and you've been there all day and you don't want to lose your place, so but you really need to piss. the only place that you've got is an empty 5-litre plastic bottle. Now, do you remember Scott, my friend from college? We went to Donington Monsters of Rock.
I don't think I've actually met them whilst I can remember.
No. But anyway, he was. It's a messy affair when you go to an outdoor rock gig like that. But basically, in between the bands, people used to have bottle fights. People used to keep themselves entertained in the sort of 30 to 40 minutes in between the bands while they were setting up the changeover by basically, I must have photos of it. The whole crowd would basically be hurling empty plastic bottles up into the air, just basically throwing them.
Did they sometimes have piss in them though?
Yeah. Well, that's the thing. They would sometimes land. One of them landed upside down on the back of the neck of my friend, and he just felt warm fluid flowing down his back.
Oh no.
But yeah, when I say they got bottled off, basically these plastic bottles, which were the only bottles that were allowed into the place, because obviously that's why, because people used to throw them and people would die if you had glass bottles in there, so they just banned anything other than plastic bottles.
Metal crowds.
So that was that. Yeah, but Spinal Tap. Another similar kind of vein of band was a band called Bad News, which was made up of the Young Ones crowd from TV. Rick Mayall, Adrian Edmondson, Nigel Planer.
They restarted that.
I don't know. Rick Mayall used to do a fantastic series, which I didn't really watch, but I would love to see, called the kind of a precursor to, what's that one with Mr. fucking fuck, get the fucking fuck, Scottish guy?
Think of it.
Yeah. The New Statesman was Rick Mayall, I think. But they were the Young Ones. That was a kind of a revolutionary comedy back in the early 80s. Because it was on After 9, after The Watershed, and we were of the age that if you were daring enough to have been able to stay up and see it, it was...
Ooh, I'm not past 9.
There was swearing in it and stuff about naughty things and things like that. Pardon me. Anyway, the core of that series made a band called Bad News, and there's a video of them doing Bohemian Rhapsody. They did albums which were basically sort of metal albums, but there were clips of them in the studio arguing and swearing at each other a lot, and they played at Donington as well. I don't know where this is going. Should we just wind up?
I have a few more things to it.
Do you?
I did reference Jonathan Pike. What do you think of him?
In general,
fart smells.
In general, yeah, I really like his stuff. There's been one or two things that I've seen that I've been a bit disappointed because he's aired views that haven't agreed with mine, but I don't think that's a just validation to say that you don't like someone as if they hold a different view. But yeah, no, I as soon as I saw his stuff, I do like. It's a weird one, isn't it? Because you kind of wonder when you first see it whether or not he's actually a reporter.
Yeah.
But it's deliberately done that way. I mean, he's doing a stand-up tour, isn't he, at the moment?
Yeah. I think it's kind of half in that style where he's still sort of acting as a reporter.
But there are a lot of comedians that do that, even though they are technically a stand-up comedian. I mean, I would imagine somebody like who's the guy that sweats all the time?
Lee Evans.
Yeah, you knew who I meant. I can't imagine he would be like that off stage. He's playing a character, surely on stage. He would die if he was like that all the time, wouldn't he?
He's just like,
Yeah.
He's actually 20.
Is he?
No, I'm
just... Oh, right, okay, sorry.
Just like that,
that was humour.
Stress.
That was comedy.
Yes.
Yeah. He reminds me of somebody older from comedy, but I can't remember the guy's name now.
No, you're helpful, aren't you?
Not George Formby. There was a guy. He was in films and stuff. It's gone. There's no point carrying this on. You carry on with your points. You've forgotten them, haven't you?
Douglas Adams.
Yes.
I
Comedy
think.
and books. And Terry Pratchett.
It's harder to do in the written form because I think comedians put a lot of, like I was saying with David Baddiel and Frank Skinner not being as energetic. So I do sort of find it's sort of with Frank Skinner at least. I haven't seen much of David Baddiel. He's sort of reacting to other people.
Yeah.
When I've heard him most of the time because I've just seen him on panel shows.
Yeah.
But he is a lot more low energy, so it's much less of that laugh out loud kind of thing. It's more of a just sort of... And I mean, it is quite a skill to be able to, just in the pure written form, be able to still evoke laughs.
Yeah, because a lot of it's
without
tone
any
of voice, isn't it?
Intonation.
Or facial expressions, or...
Yeah. Because it's a lot harder to do puns without emphasis.
I tell you what I do like there's a lot more of nowadays than there used to
syllables.
be, is what you might think of as panel comedy shows, like quiz comedy, you know, like sort of QI and...
Big Fat Quiz.
I used to really enjoy Whose Line Is It Anyway, all that sort of stuff.
Never mind the Buzzcocks.
All that sort of stuff. That's good fun. I mean, it's the first instance I can think of when I look back of that was there was a quiz called it had the same theme tune as Grange Hill. Guess My, or What's My, or...
Stop showing your age, please.
Oh, fucking hell.
It's just depressing now.
What? Who for?
The audience. I think most of them are probably your age, so
I don't know. Well, most of them are actually American, but they probably have no idea what you're talking about either.
Okay.
Shall I?
Okay, no, please don't. At least not in front of me.
No, I'd certainly do it behind you if I was going to do that.
Jesus. Anyway,
I have been fireballed.
No. Being in a comedy audience.
Yeah.
So I've been... You did say that you've been to...
See, what I do like
Have
is
you been to
comedy
anything
clubs.
else?
I've been to a couple of comedy clubs which are good, like jongleurs style stuff. I don't know if you...
Do they just have like open mic kind of thing, or just like...
No, they have like 3 or 4 comedians. Basically, it's like a nice bar, but they'll serve food early on in the evening.
But they're not like
the comedy section of the evening.
Whilst
if you're anywhere near the front, you're fucked.
Whilst they are professional comedians, they aren't necessarily like TV comedians.
No, but they're on the circuit. They are professionals.
Yeah.
They're paid. It's not open for anyone, sort of thing. Although you do get that sort of stuff in pubs and what have you. But comedy club stuff, yeah, it's a bit like the stand-up comedy that you see on TV. I find it's worth chancing it. Sometimes it's hit or miss. Sometimes you got ones that you don't find very funny, but at least you know they're only going to be on for 10-15 minutes when you're watching it on telly. But then you'll get one that you just for some reason hits that funny bone, and you just like in hysterics and crying. Which I don't know what the recipe is for me.
Russell Howard does that for me.
I like daft humour though.
Yeah, it's just that sort of... I mean, it's daft, but it's also smart.
Yeah, he is, yeah. Russell Howard, I mean, I think I like him more than I used to. It took me a while to get into him. And I think it's the political aspect that kind of gave me more of that respect for him. I do find him quite childish in other senses, but I think I got used to it. It took a while for me to get that.
I like that.
Which is weird for me to say that, because I actually found that other guy that we were talking about earlier absolutely fucking hilarious, and he was probably about as childish as you can get. So, and things like Monty Python and the Goons are just ridiculously childish. So
yeah,
it's
that sort of... I mean, it's being ridiculously silly, but also poking fun at how ridiculously silly you're being.
And do you know what I think it is? I think some of it is a generational thing, because he's probably in that age group that would have been teenagers when I was approaching middle age, like in my late 20s. And at that time, teenagers were just fucking annoying because they were almost like a threat. Do you know what I mean?
Right.
They were the cool ones when you were approaching that time when you were going to be growing up.
Oh,
but
did you feel like an old man?
No, but there's that threat that is approaching. That, you know, that they've still got that youth. And
I feel that at the moment with the way that some of the people in my...
But then you get over that once you get into middle age and you get to kind of, like, I'm in my late 40s now.
Become a bitter old man.
Well, as some people do. But for me, it's just like, I just thought, well, what the fuck? I'm just going to be a teenager again because I'm just me. It doesn't matter how old I am. I'm just going to be a fucking...
I think you went that way because you're a musician.
Yeah, but then not everybody is suited to that. You don't become a musician because...
I mean, it's weird saying
you don't become that way because you're a musician. You become a musician because you're that way inclined.
Yeah.
Because you're suited to it.
Yeah. I mean, saying that, I mean, we were, because we're not exactly normal, watching the Berlin Philharmonic.
Yeah.
Whilst it's all, they're very serious there, but it's sort of I mean, they must. I mean, I know they are like the best orchestra in the world. They must still be.
But you saw the interview in the interval.
Childish musicians at heart.
And I loved that. The interview in the interval, the classical pianist that had played in the first half, they got the conductor and one of the cellists are just like having a chat with them in the bar, like as an interview piece.
I think it was the Operist, actually.
Was it? Okay. And it's great just seeing people being, they don't, and I mean, in that interview, they were talking about the music to a certain extent, but it was clear that they actually get the most out of what they're doing while they're on stage because they can bond without talking about music.
Yeah, because they were talking about
between. They go out for drinks and
they're talking because the conductor and the pianist they'd played together before.
Hot.
Of course, you fucking is.
I'm just a hot-blooded young man.
Yeah, you're a granddad, mate.
Yeah, but the thing is, but only in a legal sense. It depends. You see, when you say hot, some people mean one thing and some people mean another. To me, I suppose what I mean is an interesting character, somebody who engages my interest. And the reason for that is because I can see in the personality, obviously, but the part of that puts together a person who can be that skilled at something that I highly respect.
You're aware that you don't have to want to fuck someone to have a conversation with them.
Yeah, but that's what I mean about the definition of finding somebody hot. When I say I find somebody hot, I don't necessarily mean I want to fuck them.
Yeah, but
I mean
that's what that language implies, that they're sexy
to you.
Well, no.
But
I mean, I would say that if I'm attracted to someone, generally, for myself at least, personally, attraction for me isn't really based on.
Well,
that
then I suppose what
thing.
you're then getting down to is what it is about when you say that somebody you want to fuck. What it is you get out of it when you fuck someone, because I don't do physical relationships. Just purely physical. I get an emotional involvement whether I like it or not. So that's what I mean, is that person seems to me to be a really interesting person that I could engage with.
Okay. Yeah, but if you just say hot, that doesn't imply that their musical ability and intelligence attracts you.
Well, you can derive your own.
Generally, when people the word hot when regarding attraction generally means physically attractive.
I would challenge that definition.
Yeah, but definitions that language is only useful if other people can understand what you're actually fucking saying.
Yeah, I know, but there is most definitely a case to be heard and said for the fact that you can be the most attractive, physically attractive person on the planet and be really not hot because as soon as you open your mouth, you're just a fucking idiot.
Wait, yeah, but
it's a personality that's hot, not a.
But if you just
body.
say in general, "Oh, I find that person hot," it can't just be assumed.
Yeah, but you're betraying your own viewpoint here, in that you're saying that somebody can only be sexy because they're physically attractive.
No, I'm saying that if you don't specify, it's reasonable to assume that that's what you're saying.
I don't.
But
think
you could
it is.
specify that.
I think if you know me, you would know. I think you're making an assumption about me. Then
I know that you're a bit perverted.
No, you assume that I'm perverted. You assume that I find people sexy because of their bodies.
I know you are.
You know what prejudice is, don't you?
Mm-hmm. That must be real hard for you.
I'm sorry, I forget you're only 16.
Anyway.
I've known me a lot longer.
Okay. Well, that's to be expected.
Good. I got uncomfortable, didn't it, towards the end there? This is the end, isn't it?
Where were we going?
Wait, let's go watch some comedy.
Okay, I mean, this hasn't really...
What has this episode been? Is it funny? Is it serious?
Oh, we should have an end note.
Doop.
Fuck you.
Oh, why do you insult me? How is that respectable?
Because it wasn't a funny joke. Generally, comedy is a complex thing, and it matters a lot what context and what tone it's been given, and...
Yeah, I feel like the tone has gotten really antagonistic now.
I'm not saying that you being a pervert is necessarily a bad thing. I'm just saying that it's a fact.
Do you know what the definition of the word pervert is?
The modern definition's more important, though, isn't it?
No, pervert is somebody with a twisted mind.
You definitely do then.
Yeah, but you've got to have a definition of what a normal mind is then.
Boring.
Well, then that's the twisted one. We're disappearing up. Phenomenon.
That wasn't even the right note.
How would you know you're a percussionist?
Fuck you. I play xylophone as well, and timpani. They're both tuned. And Glock and vibraphone. I like that the second video after... Well, the first video is Generation X, what happened. The next one is midlife despair on the rise.
Yeah, that's bollocks, isn't it, really?
That's your generation. Next one's the band Generation X.
My generation is the ones that still... See, Skid Row, one of the bands that I grew up listening to, sort of rock metal kind of stuff. They had a song called Youth Gone Wild. And the older they got, the more... Like, the chorus of it saying, "We are the youth gone wild," was the main sort of line in it. But the more they toured, the older they got. And it's like, hang on, you're in your early 30s now. You're still singing "We Are the Youth Gone Wild," and they're still out there singing "We Are the Youth Gone Wild." And I suppose in a way they still are. It's just a different perspective on it.
What?
Well, you're a youth at some point in your life, and after that, if you've gone wild.
Yeah, but now they were youths that went wild, and now they're old people that are still wild.
How do you go wild though? How do you rebel when the people that you're trying to rebel against are
elderly but still wild?
Well, but I mean, like, you look at somebody like the Rolling Stones, and it's like they've still got they could still kick the shit out of a lot of young bands nowadays, but in a musical sense, in a performance sense,
Yeah, but that's because of experience.
Yeah. This is not... We need to find a way to exit the podcast.
I said my end bit and we just went on.
What did you say?
Well, you just went, what
did you say is the question I asked. I didn't ask you to have a fucking go at me. What did you say, I asked? What did you say?
Oh, you're being all antagonistic.
What did you say?
No.
What did you say?
I said we were going somewhere and then you said that we was being...
You haven't said goodbye. That's such a teenager thing to say. Whatever, Minger. Actually, it's not. It's well outdated now.
Is it? You wouldn't know.
Yeah, people were saying whatever, Minger about 20 years ago.
People were saying 500 years ago, so like...
saying
the word article
You're a fucking knob jockey, you know.
Well, yeah, there are some bits of language that are just always useful, so fuck you.
So is cool a cool thing to say nowadays? Because it's like hot, cool, bad, fab, fat.
It depends what age you are.
Wicked.
If you're in your early 30s, then yeah, in an ironic sense. It's to the point where we're now post-irony when it's no longer ironic.
Can we just go? Can we just stop?
Mm-hmm.
Please do the outro.
I've been Viral.
I've been the Orbiter.
And this has been a weird episode. I hope it's entertaining.
What's next?
And funny and comedic. It's...
Spoilers.
Time?
Oh, fucking hell.
I think.
How do you know it's next then?
I don't. That's useless because the camera's not even
Have we stopped? Is this the afterbirth now? The after post thing?
After abortion.
Oh.
we
were talking about Jimmy Carr ages ago.
I want to watch Jimmy Carr now.
Oh, yeah, but it's all the same.
Is it?
Yeah.
Well, that's only because we probably watched all of them.
Let's not start again.
Okay. Could watch
This is Spinal
Herbert Clunkadunk.
Yeah.
Whatever it is.
Or This is Spinal Tap.
Maybe. Can you end the thing?
I have been...
Can you end my pain? Can you end my suffering?
Shut the fuck up. I have been the Orbiter.
No, we've already done the outro.
Have we? Yeah. Oh, sorry. Okay. This is where I say goodbye and then switch off the recording device, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Shall I press this square button? We really should stop drinking when we do this.
This podcast is part of the After Dark Podcast Network.